everybody, this is James.
And Marco.
And Nabil.
And Mikey.
And welcome to podcast number 155 of the Movie Pals Podcast. Today, as you guys might have heard, Mikey is on the podcast because he's been a guest on it so goddamn much. We decided, why don't we just add Mikey to the podcast? Because
he's a full-fledged pal now, guys. Welcome,
He's
Mikey.
also holding us hostage right now, so...
Yeah, Marco is blinking twice heavily into the screen in a panic. Tears rolling down his rosy red cheeks. And
These aren't hot dogs taped to me. I'm just letting you know right now.
And Nabil's put his legs behind his neck for some reason. I didn't know it was that flexible, but
well, I've been doing a lot of yoga lately.
That's
yoga flame.
I never thought I'd see the ankles behind his ears kind of guy, but I mean, here we are. So
save us all.
No, but real talk. I mean, Mikey goes with me to every movie anyway, so technically he's seen every one of these goddamn movies.
It's just a matter of convenience at this point, is what it sounds like.
I think it was kind of, but I mean, we used to use a different recording. No one cares, but we used to do a different recording thing too, and we couldn't actually have that many people on that one. That's why we only had one guest at a time. Now we have the ability to get a lot more guests. So if you ever want to,
technology has progressed far in the last 4 years.
Let us know. Yeah, Nabil is correct. Yeah, technology. They have smartwatches now. I heard or something. So.
Something like that. Bluetooth.
Yeah, red tooth, purple tooth. I don't know. So
yep.
But yeah, so Mikey is going to be joining us now. Give us some feedback on it. I know that with 4, sometimes it might feel a little crowded, but we're going to make some slight adjustments to the podcast. We are having a new segment starting not even next week. We're going to I know we said we're going to announce what it's going to be. It's going to be something kind of a smaller section where we're going to be doing movie recommendations. If you guys have been around with us since COVID, it's something like that first, and then we're going to be leading off into something a little bit different after that. But next podcast, Nabil will be launching that off from him actually, directly from Nabil as a recommendation. So stay tuned.
Be excited. Or don't. Maybe you won't be. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're going to watch
those
it
ankles away.
Well, I'm excited already.
Yeah. I can see it, Mikey. I
I'm
can
on the edge
see
of my
it.
seat.
So, if you guys are reading the title, we are actually doing the double feature, Barbie and Oppenheimer, which is, media and social media has put it together as Barbenheimer, right? So we are about a week outside of it. So I do want to mention that we are just going to be jumping right into spoilers for both movies. There's truly not a lot to spoil to these movies at all. Nothing that's, mind-boggling or anything. But in case you haven't seen it or planning to still see these movies, I would say probably come back after you've seen them to listen to our reviews, as we are going to be doing a double feature. So without further ado, let's jump into our first review, though, for the film Barbie.
Hey, Barbie. Can I come to your house tonight?
Sure. I don't have anything big planned, just a giant blowout party with all the Barbies and planned choreography and a bespoke song. You should stop by.
So cool.
You can find me under the lights, diamonds under my eyes.
This is the best day ever. It is the best day ever. So is yesterday, and so is tomorrow, and every day from now until forever. Do you guys ever think about dying?
When my heart breaks,
Some things have been happening that might be related.
when my world shakes.
Cold shower, falling off my roof, and my heels are on the ground. What do I have to do? You have to go to the real world.
You can go back to your regular life, or you can know the truth about the universe. The choice is now yours.
The first one, the high heel.
You have to want to know, okay? Do it again.
Closer I am fine. Closer I am fine.
I'm coming with you.
All right. So Barbie sitting at 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Story for this one goes: Barbie suffers a crisis that leads her to question her world and her existence. Wild. This one's directed by Greta Gerwig, who did Nights and Weekends in 2008, Lady Bird in 2017, and Little Women in 2019. Written also by Greta Gerwig, who also wrote Northern Comfort in 2010, and she wrote Frances Ha in 2012, as well as Mistress America in 2015. Additionally, it was written by Noah Baumbach, who did The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou in 2004, The Squid and the Whale in 2005, Margot at the Wedding in 2007, and While You Were Young in 2014, as well as Marriage Story in 2019, or what James considers one of the best comedies ever told. I'm just kidding.
Did we review Marriage Story? I think we did, right?
I think we did.
We talked about it. That movie's rough.
Yeah.
Dude, most of Noah Baumbach's movies, the ones he's directed to, like The Squid and the Whale, they're fucking rough. So,
and yet, he's married to Greta Gerwig. They're making the relationship work. So
there you go.
This must be therapy for him.
Absolutely. Get to work with the ones you love. Barbie was released recently on July 21st, 2023 in the theaters only. So sorry, boys and girls, you cannot stream this one. Got to go out and buy your movie tickets. The movie stars Margot Robbie as Barbie, Kate McKinnon as Weird Barbie, Issa Rae as President Barbie, Ryan Gosling as Ken, Simu Liu as Ken number 1, Kingsley Ben-Adir as Ken number 2, America Ferrera as Gloria, Michael Cera as Alan, Ariana Greenblatt as Sasha, or Gloria's daughter, Rhea Perlman as the spirit of Ruth Handler, or the co-founder of Mattel, Helen Mirren as the narrator, and Will Ferrell as the CEO of Mattel. So again, we'd like to start with our history with this movie, or in this case, our history with Barbie. So let's start with, let's start with our newest member here, Mikey. Let's bring him into the fold. Even though he has plenty of experience with this, I want to treat it like it's his first time. What's your experience with Barbie? I see you have a giant Barbie standing right behind you, Mikey.
Yeah, I got to get that cardboard cutout, right? Nice.
Yeah. It's not a cardboard cutout. Just kidding.
Something's cut up.
Yeah, as far as my history with Barbie, I mean, I have two sisters. So, when they were growing up, obviously they had, Barbie dolls around. But beyond that, I don't really know a lot of the history. Like, I know the movie brings up a lot of the, stuff that, failed products and that kind of stuff. I didn't know about any of them. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously everybody's heard of a Barbie doll, especially,
Did you see any of the commercials as a kid growing up?
I don't remember any of them. I probably did. Obviously, everybody's probably seen them if you watch TV back then, but I don't remember any of the trailers or commercials or any for their products at all. So,
all right, makes sense. What about you, Nabil? What's your experience with Barbie? Remember any of the commercials back in the day, or know anybody that owned them?
I grew up with a lot of kids television. That was my babysitter most of the time. So I've seen quite a few Barbie commercials for sure. I have younger siblings, sisters, and they like Barbie dolls. So we had them around the house and Ken dolls and stuff. So definitely some experience with it. Just to me, it's just been the staple of what a modern, well, I guess kind of, I don't know if it's really modern anymore, but what a doll is. You got that, and between that and action figures, and you play with them both, and they both destroy each other. Barbie is like Godzilla, and when I was a kid, and then she would just be over there wrecking everything with my little action figures. So it was one. They were all interchangeable to me. So, but my exposure was a lot of it just from the commercial and the outfits and the things that they were, the accessories that were selling and everything like that. Although I do have, for some reason, memories of the car. She had her special sports car. My sister really loved that, and she would drive that around the house all the time, play with that with her little Barbie doll. So, that was one thing that I did remember is her fancy little pink car.
Nice. What about you, James? Oh, I'm sorry. Where am I? BDJ RMC. What's your experience with Barbie?
I have none. So I mean, I don't. I think my sister had some. I don't remember, dude. She's older than me, so by the time I don't remember really seeing them around the house or anything. So I remember the commercials a lot. Like Nickelodeon played them all the time, and that's really the extent of it all. I don't have a lot of exposure to it whatsoever. So.
I remember the commercials a lot. I specifically remember they would always come either right before or after a G.I. Joe commercial. Like they would pair them back to back. Like it'd be G.I. Joe, then Barbie, or the Barbie, then G.I. Joe.
Trying to get the whole
I'd
market,
have-
probably, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Just one and done, knock them out. And I specifically remember that because I would always be like, "Oh, here comes the G.I. Joe commercial after, the Barbie commercial after." But I remember the jingle from they turned it into #1 song, but it originally was in the commercials, and it would stay stuck in your head and haunt your dreams. But I had family members also and like friends when I was a kid. You play with the neighbors and stuff, and they would have them and stuff. And kind of it's weird, Nabil. Yeah, because she was so much taller. If we had our GI Joes, like, and all the kids were playing, like, she'd be like this giant monster you try to shoot down or something with your GI Joes or something, because they're also freaking tall.
It's
But
tall,
yeah,
compared to everything else. Yeah.
walking through like Toys R Us and like Christmas time and stuff, I remember like there'd be like Transformers or GI Joes, and then like a big Barbie display and stuff. So I remember like be a shit ton of
It was
toys.
like a whole area of pink, I remember.
Look, they had collector's editions too. Those they still do the Christmas collections.
Yeah.
Like people still, I know people as adults that still collect those things.
Yeah,
They still do
but
it,
that's
like,
yeah.
to this
That's,
day.
Yikes.
No,
So
I
most of
don't
ours-
go to stores that much, but I don't go to stores that often, I guess. But
I'm
Yeah,
sure
there's
it's more
not a whole
online.
section for Barbie, even at Target, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Well, let's get into our thoughts of Barbie. Starting again with you, Mikey. What were your thoughts of the movie?
overall, I thought it was good. I had issues, I guess, with the story aspect of it. I don't know why I was expecting like a good storyline with a toy that doesn't have a storyline to go along with it. But that's I don't know. I just had expectations there, I guess, and they just didn't meet that. But I thought there
Mikey
was like
that's not the origin. What the fuck?
like I said, I don't even know what I was expecting, but what I saw didn't match what I thought might be going on here, right? So, but I did feel like they had really great scenes and just not a lot like weaving them together, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But there was some really good scenes in the movie overall. There's just really funny things that happen, in my opinion, and then there's just some other like really good, powerful scenes. And then there's just not really stuff that's like storyline stuff that kind of goes through, like things just happen. Like she just runs into the person she's supposed to find, and those kind of things just kind of happen. And that was kind of like, I don't know, for me, just lacking as far as story side goes. But I still enjoyed the film. I saw it with my sister and my brother-in-law, and they really enjoyed it as well. So I had fun watching it and quoting the movie afterwards. We talked about it for a long period afterwards. So it still was a really good movie.
Nice. All right, I'm going to switch it up here and go with James. What were your thoughts of Barbie?
Barbie, huh? I saw this twice, actually, just to let you guys know, because my first experience was fucking terrible because it was 110 fucking degrees in the theater. Fucking AC
really?
was broken. They were even telling us, like, hey, if you don't want to go into this hellhole, 7th layer of hell, you don't have to. We walked in. I saw it with my niece and my sister, but we were already there, I was like, fuck, we already brought our food. So we stayed, and then I was sweating down my back the entire time. So I was just like,
I heard about this
reminded
for
me
7
of
days straight, by the way.
remind me of Berkeley days, back when we didn't have AC while watching 4-hour-long silent films.
Yeah,
It's fun. So I rewatched it yesterday, actually, with Janelle and her brother David, and much better experience. I think I like to watch movies when I'm comfortable, I guess. Who would have known? But back to the movie. I liked it, actually. Overall, I think the second viewing actually helped out a lot because I don't know, I just wasn't irritated the whole time, maybe. So I don't know. I know that sounds so fucking like fucked up, but it's like, well, that's the truth. I just wasn't like irritated by it.
You need to be comfortable sometimes.
Yeah, I wasn't blinking sweat out of my eyes every time I chuckled. So I think it's funny. I think it has a very clear message. I understand. I think it's a little heavy-handed with the message overall, but I mean, I get it. It's fine. I didn't have an issue. It's not going to be for everybody, and it's not meant. I don't think it's meant for everybody, which is fine too. So, go on social media. There's all these people bitching about it, but it's like, well, you don't have to see it. It's not every movie is made for everybody, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was well acted. I do agree with Mikey. The plot it's pretty thin. It's really like Barbie world, goes to the real world for a couple minutes and come back, right? Like, okay, and then deal with the Ken issue. So. But there's a message overall to it, and I liked it. I thought it was very funny, and I found myself quoting it too a bit, Mikey. I'm not gonna lie. I felt like it's a very quotable film. It felt like just like a silly comedy, really, but with like a deeper, somewhat deeper message to it overall, with some drama. So
Yeah, it's weird because like you're laughing at it, but then it has like this really big message behind it, right? So it's
Yeah.
like it's almost like why like I feel like bad and laughing, right? It's kind of weird, but I get what you're saying.
yeah,
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I'm glad you got to see it a second time and enjoy it and not be, in, the seventh level of hell or anything.
Yeah.
So, Nabil, what about you? What were your thoughts of Barbie?
I also agree. I enjoyed the film. I like the message. I think that they did kind of put it right in your face multiple times, but it wasn't overbearing to me. It was there, and I was like, okay, I get it. But also, like James said, it's what the film is, and I don't see why people are, trying to be divisive on it. I think it's a pretty good message, to be honest. The film was funny. The plot was thin, and like Mikey said, the only thing that really got me, though, as far as the plot's concerned, was not the whole sense of like going to the real world from Barbie Land and coming back, but how anybody else, like in the real world, can just go to Barbie Land with or without Barbie. And I was like, that seems
that's
like
the point. Bill, it's just you just go there. Right?
Yeah, no, I got it. I went with it. But I thought that was one thing that kind of bothered me a little bit, though. But otherwise, yeah, I thought it was funny. I thought there was some really good jokes. All the Ken stuff was just hilarious. And even like seeing the different Barbies and their jobs. And I actually liked the storyline of Margot Robbie's Barbie as the stereotypical Barbie. That wasn't something that I was thinking of. And when they were going through it, I was like, oh, okay, so she's like just the base level, and everybody else is so accomplished. And and then she's having like her existential crisis. And let me tell you, as a middle-aged man who's also starting to go through a bit of a midlife journey, we'll say, some of it resonated with me, and I was like, yeah, no, I understand where you're going with here. So, yeah, I think the film was very well done. I enjoyed it, and I probably will see it again as soon as I'm able to.
Right on. No, I really like the movie too. Truthfully, I like Mikey. I try to stay away from the trailer as much as possible. I saw very few scenes because I didn't want to see it. I was like, I want to go in blind, right? Especially once I found out it was a Greta Gerwig movie. I was like, let's go and do this. Big fan of hers.
Represent.
Yeah,
I don't think they
absolutely. Here we
showed too
go.
much in the trailers, by the way. Just to let you know.
No, I don't think it really spoiled
I
anything.
didn't want to risk it though, especially with a lot of trailers these days. They just like show the whole fucking movie, and it's like, God damn it. But I'm glad that the scenes I did see like didn't even like really scratch the surface of the movie. But I agree, I liked it. It was funny. It was hilarious. It was in your face, but I didn't mind it at all. I think it was well deserved. I think probably if you're a guy, you'll probably feel a little uncomfortable with it, but I think like that's the point of the movie, and I was okay with it. I'm okay with feeling uncomfortable in movies. I think like sometimes movies that like really have a good message or that really make you think like have to elicit those emotions. I felt like in this day and age, it's probably something that's well needed as well too. The comedy like hit every time, which I'm not surprised, but at the same time, like, it's a Barbie fucking movie. How funny could it be, right? It's fucking hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. The lines, the punchlines, they all worked. I did have a little bit of an issue with how the whole real world and Barbie Land thing kind of worked at first, but then I just sort of went with it. I do agree that, yeah, it seems like a lot of scenes are kind of like stitched together. But I kind of like interpret it like it's just like the toy line or just like any toys. Like none of the sets make sense. Like one set from one action figure to another set of the same action figure doesn't make sense. You kind of weave it all together to make an intricate story. And I feel like that's what Greta Gerwig was doing. And I kind of like that because you have like the different toy sets in there that kind of like put together and you build a story based off the sets. So I kind of like looking at it that way. I felt it worked. I felt that was kind of like a little smart on her end. I was like, that's actually pretty cool. It's like if I were to make a Ninja Turtles movie and I was a kid, I'd probably do that with the fucking sets. So other than that, like, I'd probably see it again too, Nabil. I probably am going to see it again. So Yeah, fun movie.
Join the club.
So, so the story really is like Barbie. We start off with her, in Barbie land, and everything's all honky dory and everything, and then she starts to feel a little weird and gets a little sad and depressed, and wants to find out why, and thinks that it's because someone is playing with her that way, and it's eliciting these emotions in her, and so she wants to go to the real world to find out why and sort of like find herself and her purpose, I guess. But James, is that what you thought this movie would be about initially?
Yeah, I saw the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the one scene in there, yeah. So I wasn't shocked by that at all.
All right.
Yeah.
Nabil and Mikey, would you guys say the same? That's sort of what you guys expected. I'm asking as someone who didn't watch the trailer, by the way. So to me, I had no idea what the plot was going to be. So it kind of came out of left field for me as far as like what the plot would be about. And I'm like, oh shit, this is interesting. I had no idea it would take place at all in the real world.
The Ken stuff is more of the real twist to the whole movie. Like that,
Right.
They didn't show any of that, like, or hint at that in the trailer. The Kate McKinnon scene is totally in the like earliest trailer, I think, truthfully, where she has to choose or whatever. So I wasn't shocked by that.
Yeah. I would say the one thing that did throw me off as well, on top of the Ken stuff, was Will Ferrell's character, the CEO of Mattel. I was assuming he was going to be the generic, I'm an evil corporate guy, and you're going to come in over here and change my whole world and make it all pink and we're happy.
Mm-hmm.
And instead it was like, actually, he really cares about it from a male perspective, but he really cares about the brand.
Was it funny that he didn't add like a woman to that thing, by the way?
Yeah, not at all. But exactly. Like, but at the same time, the whole board is very, male-centric, female-centric.
I'm a
so
son
there's
of a mother.
So I found that was surprising because they didn't go that route, but it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like Will Ferrell played that part really well, and that it actually did, kind of pay off through their their little narrative that they had going on with the CEO.
Nice.
It was
Mikey.
Yeah, I kind of said it a little bit on my thoughts here. I didn't actually know what to expect. I only saw like a part of the trailer. I didn't see the whole thing because, like I said, I'm trying to avoid as much as possible for every movie, not just this one.
Mm-hmm.
So
do it, Mikey,
I did catch some of it. Yeah, I know James gets pissed at me when I close my eyes in the theater.
Just do it. Just do it.
But
who fucking cares?
I didn't really know what to expect, but I also didn't. I mean, I don't know where they could take it. Right? I mean, you see movies like Battleship and Rampage where they have like nothing to go off of, and they actually do come up with some kind of storyline. So I figured there'd be something, obviously, but I just don't know what I was really thinking it would be about. It's kind of open.
Yeah, I felt that it worked for the movie and for what they were trying to convey as a message, and I agree with that. With so many different properties, especially toy properties or game properties that are being like, I guess, pushed in our faces, it's kind of nice to have something that's a little more like different and refreshing rather than like them having nothing to go with and it being super fucking random and not making that much sense. So that being said, Nabil, what were your thoughts of like the comedy? Do you think there was too much satire, or do you think it worked for the movie?
No, not at all. I think that's what kept the movie entertaining, to be honest, was the jokes. They were, some of them more solid than others. Some of them were very, it was satirical. It was like, this is funny, being played off as funny, but also this is real truth. Like, this is what people deal with and what women go through, and like, let's be real. And so they did a really good Greta Gerwig, especially, like she did a really good job of like putting this on screen for me to make sure that I'm aware of the fact that this is a shitty situation, but also to find a little bit of humor in it, to be like, okay, but they are exaggerating it to a little extent, but only in the context of Barbie, not necessarily of real women, So I think that's all very funny, and I think each of the jokes hit. I loved the Ken situation about the patriarchy and what he learned about it, and I loved the line. Was it near the end when he said he found out it wasn't about horses anymore or something? He lost interest, like, because he's like all into.
By the way, that whole monologue, he's lying the whole time.
Yes,
he's still really. He's like, I didn't even like leading, and he's crying.
Yeah. Like that whole thing is because that's what it is. Like his whole thing is he wants attention, but at the same time, it never was to the point where like Barbie had to concede anything of herself. You know, she just kind of had to set things straight again the way it should have been, and all the women kind of got all the other Barbies essentially got everything back to normal. But though all those jokes I think played off really well, and it was just each beat where it was satire and they were throwing in a bit of truth into it. Not a lot of filmmakers can do that and do it well, because it's either like we kind of touched a little bit. Some of the message is really in your face, but it isn't in the place where I think that I got slapped with it. I just like it was a little nudge, like, hey, remember what we're talking about here still, but it's also funny. It's okay to laugh about it. So yeah, I thought it would go well.
Speaking of the message, James, how did you interpret the overall message of the film?
I think you could take it a couple ways. I mean, I think especially if you're a mother or a daughter or anything like that, it probably hits a little bit harder too. There's a lot of, especially near the end, there's kind of like Margot Robbie's Barbie character is kind of asking like, where does she fit in, or can she live among the humans? And she's always trying to like kind of become something that she probably she thinks she needs like permission and such like for it. So there's definitely a message in there. There's a message with Ken, obviously, like, hey, it doesn't need to be Barbie and Ken. It can just be Barbie and Ken, right? Like separate.
Right.
They don't have to be relying on each other, which is a smart way to look at it too. Because the whole time you think about it, you're like, oh, are they like really destined? Or even the Will Ferrell's character is like, that's her story, right? She falls in love.
Right.
Like, no, not really. So there's a couple of messages with it, and I think it's about there's a strong message about being a woman, growing up. Things in life aren't always the best. I mean, Gloria brings that up a couple times. She's talking about how, like Barbie's talking about how her life is in shambles and all these things are happening, and then Gloria lets her know, like, yeah, that's life. Like, it's never perfect, So it's not about having the perfect perfect Barbie world, but it's about
exactly
just living life and like understanding what's going on and like rolling with the punches, kind of. So yeah, I liked it. It worked for me. It was really strong.
Exactly. I liked how it showed for both sides, agreeing, kind of jumping on what you were saying, like how it empowers Barbie and being a woman and not needing permission to be whatever you want. Like with on Ken's side, it's like, hey, like this is not what the idea of like being a man is. You don't need to like push people down or be a total fucking douchebag or anything. Just be supportive and be your own person without, bringing someone else down, and I kind of like that too, where, it just, a lot of people probably go into this movie thinking, oh, they're just going to, trash guys and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, it points out like a lot of mistakes, but it also points out like,
it's in a funny way,
hey, it points out like, hey, like, just don't be a freaking asshole. Like, I think there's a line that says just, be an Alan or something like that. Cause he's,
I think it's even like, it's even strong in a way of like how Barbie apologizes to Ken. Like, she also wasn't like giving him the time of day, right? Like, Ken also kind of shows that he didn't need much to like really.
Right.
He got, he's like, someone asked me about the time, right? And like, it's like
true
shit like that.
But
then she's like, yeah, it's girls' night every night for the rest of the time and stuff like that. And she realizes like she actually really genuinely hurt his feelings, right? And it's like. It's like a little thing. It's both on both ways, and I feel like a lot of people probably gloss over that part. So,
yeah, I'll speak a little more on that scene a little later on, but I really like that scene a lot too, just because of the way it was presented and everything. Mikey, thoughts on the characters in the movie? What were your thoughts of Margot Robbie's Barbie?
She did a good job. I actually think everybody did a pretty good job in this movie. Everybody had a really good performance. They played the role pretty well. But yeah, Margot Robbie, I mean, she had a couple scenes where like she's experiencing emotion for like the very first time. And it kind of felt like she kind of came across like she's actually feeling it for the first time. Like it actually felt kind of real. And also she has like a bunch of scenes where, she is the stereotypical Barbie kind of person. And then she has to kind of get tossed into this kind of world.
We get it. She's gorgeous. Just fucking.
Well, she is gorgeous. But I love that scene too where they pause and they actually address that, right? Like, if she's gonna say she's ugly, why would you get Margot Robbie?
Like,
right?
I'm so ugly.
I like that.
Madeline is like not the person that cast to say that, but
funny.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a chuckle.
But yeah, I mean, she did a good job, and she just has a lot to kind of work with. They gave her a lot of good scenes, I think.
Agreed. She's really good at immersing herself in a character. Thoughts on other Barbies, Nabil, and how they were shown in the movie?
I mean, my favorite Barbie was going to be Weird Barbie, Kate McKinnon. She's fucking hilarious. I don't know. I love Kate
is she always
McKinnon.
She really did a good job too. I agree.
Exactly. Why is she doing the split? She's just fucking dying.
It's because she was left that way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. She's just so funny in there. She embraces it. It's just, and she's like, she points out everybody else's flaws too, and why they were weird, even though she's supposed to be the weird one. Which is like Barbie having Margot Robbie's Barbie having flat feet, and he's like, oh, that's weird. Like, just.
But I do like how they do a lot of close-ups of her, and it's just like really shocking close-ups, and they're like, whoa, and they're like, holy crap. She's like, sorry, I set myself up for that, huh?
They do a lot of absurdism, and I like it. Yeah.
Alan's underused, I think.
Yeah, I don't think we get a lot of time with him, but the moments that we do get, they actually did. They paid off, and I mean, I guess that is to Michael Cera's credit, right? That he's just kind of silent comedian in the corner.
I love the scene where Ken's crying again. He comes in and they there's a shot of Alan just crying too because he's getting hella emotional.
Yeah,
he just can't take it. He's like, "What's going on?"
It was a good addition. It was a good change of pace too when they would go to him and include him.
Not to mention, I haven't seen Michael Cera anything in hell long, dude.
Yeah, right. And you know, he still looks like he's at least in his 20s. That's what he looks like.
Dude, he's in his 30s.
Yeah,
I'll tell you right now.
He's still looking good. You know, so got that baby face. But yeah, those are, you know, I loved Weird Barbie, and I loved Alan. I think they were the good kind of comedy, comic reliefs that they put in these films that really kind of helped.
Yeah, I didn't even know Alan was a real toy. I looked him up.
Yeah. Yes,
yeah, he's in during the mid-credit scene. They show his ad too. Him and Midge.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit. No, I was like, is that for real? Yeah,
Midge, the fucking pregnant. I was like, whoa,
I think that's hilarious.
Continue.
But Mikey, what were your thoughts on Gloria and her daughter Sasha? Do you think that they worked for the story? Do you think they were underutilized? Do you think it just felt like they were randomly in the movie? What did you think?
No, actually, they were in some way my favorite characters in the movie. I feel like they were like the main characters that, like, at least for me, I felt like they made like the biggest point. The Gloria monologue where she's like going over with the Barbies and kind of just talking and kind of just going on about like how the world is treating women and stuff.
Yes.
And I thought that was a very powerful scene, and she does a fantastic job doing that monologue scene.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of stuff here, and also like just their story as far as like their characters. I mean, they're not even they're only in the second half of the movie actually.
Right.
And like they have a lot of stuff that happens with them. I mean, she's basically depressed, and now she's like has this struggle to kind of like, you know, be a woman in our world nowadays. And then Barbie is kind of like the hope for her, and you kind of see that transition, and then her daughter's also changing at the same time. So there's a lot of like just content with those two characters, even though they're like very concise scenes in there, but they're very powerful scenes with the two of them. And there's a lot of change with those characters. So I thought those two characters were really well done.
I agree. Gloria's monologue is probably one of the best scenes in the movie. I wish they would have had a little bit more of them, because they were very strong, powerful characters from the get-go. Where like immediately like you're drawn to their character and you're like, oh, this is interesting. Not to say the Barbie stuff wasn't interesting. It was nice. It was fantastical. You know, it was immersive. You know, but and I know that Greta Gerwig had a lot to fit into this movie, but I wish we would have had a little bit more with them. What we did work for me. But that was just, if I'm nitpicking it, I'm just like, just a little bit more with them. You know,
I feel like their
not just showing their stuff in
flashbacks.
other.
Their resolution between each other gets kind of like solved pretty quick, almost off scene, like of them bonding again. It happens very quick. There's not a lot.
I think it feels. It kind of feels like that because their story was part of their story was shown in flashbacks. That's why I wish we would have had those scenes, you know, play out throughout the movie. And
but I get it. They're trying to.
Yeah, it still works, but I just, you know. If I'm nitpicking,
I thought they became friends again really fucking easy. I was like, oh, that was good.
Yeah, it was all happened really quickly.
And I almost credit that to Mikey's thing of there's just a lot of scenes stringed together. That's felt like when they were leaving, like, here's a scene where they become friends again. And Alan fights people like Scott Pilgrim. So, okay.
Well, I know we talked about one great scene with Gloria, but James, is there any other scene for you that stands out?
Anytime Ryan Gosling's on screen, pretty much. He stole the show for me, man.
Dude.
That dude's the funniest fucking guy. If you've never seen The Nice Guys, by the way, listeners, like, do yourself a favor and watch that. That is easily his funniest movie he's ever been in. So he is just so good in this movie. He's Beach, bro. He's Beach. So
Beach.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not. Fuck, he's like shirtless the whole movie. So
He really is.
He's got his best on. He's got his best. He's not sure.
every time, dude, his song is just so catchy, which is cool.
Yeah.
All the Kens are kind of funny. I think we don't get a lot of the other guys, truthfully. Like Simu Liu is kind of like the main antagonist Ken, I guess, kind of. Yeah, which is weird. I thought he was a little flat, though.
Hilarious.
If I'm going to be totally honest, I felt like he was a little flat. Kingsley Ben-Adir was in this, so I understand why he was just sleeping through fucking Secret Invasion. So
Yeah.
because that show's fucking terrible. So yeah, Ryan Gosling was just great, man. He's so fucking funny. His like interpretation of what's going on is just so fucking stupid too. On top of that,
Yeah.
so just him seeing the gym and then like seeing the guys, and he just copies like the looks of like fucking Sylvester Stallone from Rocky 3 and shit. I thought it was
It's the
hilarious.
most straightforward interpretation, and it's being so he plays it so well and straight is what really adds
Which
it.
is
because
why it's
like,
so funny too. Very, very Leslie Nielsen of him, by the way. I might say.
Agreed.
That is why I love the Naked Gun movies, which I'm rewatching as we speak. And it's like because Leslie Nielsen plays it so fucking straight in a world where it's like everything's funny, but he's the one straight guy about it. Like I'm not gonna laugh at these jokes. Like this is my shit. So, I just literally every scene it was the Casa Dojo house, whatever the fuck it was. Like that's hilarious. It's just really stupid. Like they come on. I mean, I get it. Like they really nail it in the head of like, hey, this is kind of how we're gonna roll with it, which is fine. Like but I thought it was great. And then I like the scene where Barbie talks to Ruth Handler's spirit, and they kind of go through that Billie Eilish song plays on, and they it's shots of the thing. It's kind of like the dramatic moment and stuff like that. But that was cool.
We stand still so our children can see how far they've gone.
And then I just was like,
well, I don't know what that means. I'm having an existential crisis. What about you, Nabil?
No child.
Any scenes that stand out, or anything you want to see
I
more
don't think
or
we
less
really
of?
talked about it, but the beach fight scene with the Kens, that
was kind of part of the song, but yeah.
with
they go
the
into the
eggs,
grease.
they're getting hit with
They
the
start
fucking
doing-
with the props. They're like, are there real weapons here?
Yeah,
Going
somebody
off
got
the
shot. I was like,
second
wait,
viewing,
who
that
had the
guy
gun?
did get shot, by the way. I have no
he
fucking
did.
clue how.
But I thought that just obviously transitioning to the dance, but like the whole like that how that started and where it went, like it was the highlight of the film for me was that whole beach scene.
Well, for me, in terms of scenes, I like this when the Barbies are like trying to get the other Barbies to not be brainwashed, and they're like all on the beach singing the same song for like hours and hours and
Push.
hours. Yeah, it's
Bush by Matchbox 20. I felt personally attacked by that, just to let you know. Especially the Godfather scene. The Godfather scene, too. And I was like,
The Godfather.
got a little couple of corner of their own, don't they? Sons of bitches.
Yeah, it's Godfather. And I was like, oh wait, does he even know that they have a horse head in that? Because they were all like loving horses, and I was like, just thinking in my head,
It's
like,
just a
they
lot
probably
of
don't
horse
realize.
stuff. Even the
Yeah.
lamps. The lamps, the TV's constantly playing like a loop of a horse going around like a circle or some shit. Like,
They all want to be cowboys. That's what it is.
kind of. That was funny.
Yeah.
I did like how, in a way, like the Kens became the bad guy in a way. Like,
Yeah.
kind of. I was thinking about it last night. I was talking to Janelle about it. I was like, are the Kens the bad guys, or is it really just like society as a whole? Like one of those like protagonist versus society kind of thing. But,
I mean, they were going to literally vote to destroy, to change the whole thing.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think it's more
They're
so
like
like,
a-
the Kens were just following what they saw, right? They're kind of like they don't know anything because they only been in this like perfect Barbie world, right?
just like
Yeah.
men.
So they influence really easily, right? So I don't
I
think that
guess.
necessarily the
Yeah.
Kens are the
Just-
bad guys. They were influenced by society and how we live.
Yeah, you can see it that way. And then the Ken, he was under false pretense of information he received in the real world, came back under like, hey, this is how things are really run, but which is not true in a way. Although there is some truth to it about role reversal and such. But they take it into a very far direction, as what I would say, Nabil.
Yeah.
See,
I don't know. I would say maybe not as far as we might think if things keep going the way they're going. But yes, it is unrealistic as of right now.
yeah. We could say that. So Marco actually disconnected listeners. So I'm just going to continue here. Is there anything you guys wanted to see more or less of?
I will say that this is a film that I feel like is complete, and though I know it will not be true because Mattel is making a shit ton of money, I would be fine if there wasn't a sequel.
They got that Uno movie coming, bro.
Yeah. They got Hot Wheels coming, right? The Rock'em Sock'em Bots thing with Vin Diesel. It's going to be great.
Can't wait. What about you, Mike?
Yep.
Anything you want to see less of, more of on this one? Or did you think it worked pretty well?
I mean, the movie is how the movie is, right? I mean, I think we kind of touched on what we kind of think about it here. I would have liked more storyline to kind of weave these really great scenes in. Marco mentioned that some of these powerful scenes, there could have been a little bit more of them to kind of stretch some of the characters out. But that being said, I mean, it is what it is. It is going to be this way. And I mean, as it is, it's still a pretty good movie. So it doesn't really need to change in order for me to like it. But I mean, we've already kind of gone over everything else we want more or less of.
Yeah, totally fine. Let's get into our ratings then for this. And it sounds like we're all going to recommend it. So, Nabil, starting with you, big guy, what is your rating for Barbie?
I gave this 4.5 stars out of 5.
Oh, very high. What about you, Mikey?
I give it 3.5. You know, it's good. And
well, fuck them. I get it. Yeah, I get it. You're like, this is a man's world. This ain't a fucking doll. I get it, man. Shit.
No, I like the message they gave. It didn't bother me at all.
Fantasy.
So. Yeah, fantasy. I give this one actually a 4 out of 5. I originally gave it a 3.5 because of the fucking vortex of heat I was in the original viewing of this, but I give it a 4 now after my second viewing. I've seen it twice, and yeah, I think it's a good movie overall. It's one of those things where, you know, I date somebody that is actually very high in power at her job, and as opposed to her, like, I would say this much, like, sometimes, you know, it's not always a man's world. I think the world is changing, and this is a good kind of reflection of what could come. So, with that is the end of our review of Barbie. Now we're going to go into our second film of our double feature, which is going to be Oppenheimer.
This is a national emergency.
Detonator charged.
We're in a race against the Nazis. And I know what it means if the Nazis have a bomb.
We have a 12-month head start.
18.
How could you possibly know that?
We've got one hope. All America's industrial might and scientific innovation connected here. A secret laboratory. Keep everyone there until it's done.
Let's go recruit some scientists.
Build a town, build it fast. If we don't let scientists bring their families, we'll never get the best.
Why would we go to the middle of nowhere for who knows how long?
Why? Why? How about because this is the most important thing to ever happen in the history of the world?
You're the great improviser, but this you can't do in your head.
Are we saying there's a chance that when we push that button, we destroy the world?
Chances are near zero.
Near zero.
What do you want from theory alone?
0 would be nice.
Oppenheimer. It's currently sitting at a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. The story is of American scientist J. Robert Oppenheimer and his role in the development of the atomic bomb. This was directed by Christopher Nolan, who recently did Tenet in 2020, as well as Dunkirk in 2017 and Interstellar in 2014. Also written by Christopher Nolan. This is based on the biography American Prometheus, The Triumph and Tragedy of J. Robert Oppenheimer by Kay Bird and Martin Sherwin. Released currently and in only theaters on July 21st. And a big cast of people. This film stars Cillian Murphy as J. Robert Oppenheimer, Emily Blunt as Catherine Kitty Oppenheimer, Matt Damon as Leslie Groves, Robert Downey Jr. as Louis Strauss, Florence Pugh as Jean Tatlock, Josh Hartnett, handsome son of a bitch in this film, Ernest Lawrence,
Dude,
it's looking good, Casey Affleck as Boris Pash, Rami Malek as David L. Hill, Kenneth Branagh as Niels Bohr, Benny Safdie as Edward Teller, Jason Clarke, Roger Robb, Tom Conti as the Albert Einstein, James D'Arcy as Patrick Blackett, David Dastmalchian as William L. Borden, Dane DeHaan as Kenneth Knowles, Alden Ehrenreich as Senate aide to Louis Strauss, and so many more. All right, so James, I'm gonna start with you. Do you have any history? Did you understand like the history of Robert Oppenheimer before this movie? What he did, what he contributed to history, or is this kind of all new to you?
Yeah, actually, I knew a little bit. I didn't know the whole story though. Obviously, I know there's been a few other movies on this, but I just never really watched any movies about the atomic bomb. I guess outside of maybe what we touched upon in like high school when we learned about World War II. I was aware of the Berkeley stuff though, which is cool. Like that's Gilman Hall, which they're walking outside of, and there's scenes they did shoot it there as well last year. So there's a couple scenes that they shot. I used to walk by that all the time on my way to one of my classes. So that his office is still in there. They have the room that's still in there. They have a plaque for for the Manhattan Project there too. So it's pretty cool.
How about you, Mikey? Any history of or knowledge of Oppenheimer and before this movie?
I mean, I knew there was an atomic bomb, and I knew Oppenheimer's name was attached to it in some way, shape, or form, but honestly didn't know too much about his history and how it all went down. I had no references from beforehand other than it existed and it went on the two locations it did. So
yeah. And Marco, how about yourself? Anything? Any kind of historical context for you in regards to Oppenheimer's history in this movie?
I knew about him. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Didn't know anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people knew him at least by name, right? And that there was some correlation with the atomic bomb. Definitely, I feel that the later half of where his career kind of ended up going probably wasn't as remembered for many people. But yeah, good to know. What about? I guess before we kind of even go to the movie, just as a reminder, we've already talked about this, but we are going to go to spoiler, just so we're just going to talk about the film and everything that's going on. Also, it's his history, so you can kind of look it up too if you really needed to, but it's there. So Mikey, our guest, I don't know if you ended up watching this with James or not, but if you were anything like me, I assume that you guys got to see the fancy special showing, and I did not because my life sucks, and this is what I get available to me.
I don't think you even have the ability in that state to watch this movie. By the way,
I think he looked it up, and he didn't have an option.
There is an IMAX, but it's not like a full size IMAX. So
it's like not the quote unquote real IMAX that they've been talking about.
And there were some theaters showing 70mm, but it was like last weekend after I had already seen it. They weren't showing it the first weekend for some reason. So
was it just standard 70mm then, not IMAX?
70mm, yeah, none of them had IMAX.
Which is also, it's only in 19 theaters in America, which is fucking insane, by the way. But
although we do have an OmniMax here because we have a science center, so they were showing it at that, but
it's not the same.
It's not the same. Yeah,
it literally is a 11-mile reel that weighs over 600 pounds, and only only 35 theaters in the world can play it, and 19 are in America. Mikey and I are lucky to have 3 of them in this relatively close to us.
Yeah.
So.
And it was absolutely beautiful in 70mm IMAX as well. So
I bet it was.
I guessed it there, Nabil. Me and James saw it together, like always, and it was beautiful.
Jeez,
and I
don't
brought
make
a
me
tear to my
blush.
eye. It was fantastic.
Was that your first 70mm IMAX 70mm movie, Mikey? Right?
It was, yeah. This is my first experience with it, and it is worth the trip down to the place for sure.
Yeah, we had vegan burgers before too. It was fucking weird.
Oh, very California. Love it.
It was the hippiest shit I've ever done in my life. And Mikey gave me a kiss on my neck during the movie. I said, "No, not here, not in front of people." Yeah, we saw it together at the IMAX 70mm. So
yeah,
in Sacramento.
Oh, very cool. Esquire.
Yeah.
Oh. How about you, Marco? Did you get to see the film in a special format, or you just go down to the local $5 matinee film and just like, this is what I'm going to watch?
I saw it on my phone.
He downloaded it.
The way it was meant to be.
No, I went to. I saw it at Esquire
recorder.
also in Sacramento. I went with my brother and my niece.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and 70 millimeter. Looked fucking dope.
Was that your first time seeing it IMAX 70 millimeter, Marco? Or have you seen a previous movie like that before?
I've seen a previous one. I saw the Hateful Eight. I think I saw it with you. 70 millimeter.
That was 35 millimeter.
Oh,
that was
35.
that was the Tarantino one we saw at the Fox Theater in Oakland. Actually, special road trip.
That would probably be the only one I saw in 70 millimeter. Then, yeah,
nice.
Yeah, as it's my first time too.
Nolan does a lot of those. I've seen Interstellar and Dunkirk in 70 millimeter. So he likes film.
He does like film. If you're able, so gleaning from this, guys. So if you're listening, you should know that that's the way you need to watch a film. It is worth watching in theaters, regardless. But if you have the ability to watch it in the most premium format that you can, you should do it, and especially in 70 millimeter, or at least in IMAX if it's available to you. So let's talk about the film. James, what do you think about the movie?
I thought this was fantastic. I really liked it. I think this is a very powerful film. This is, I think this might be one of Christopher Nolan's best movies he's ever made, in my opinion. It was very touching out of nowhere. I didn't think, I mean, if you want to talk about plot that I didn't think was going to play out the way it played out, this would be it. I didn't realize, I thought this was going to be more focused on the explosion and the testing, the Trinity test, and I didn't realize it was going to go even beyond that with like his later years. I had no idea about that at all. So I thought it was perfect example of filmmaking, just the way it was shot. I loved the soundtrack. I think Cillian Murphy is the forefront for like best actor at this point. Robert Downey Jr. is probably forefront for best supporting actor. So yeah, like Robert Downey Jr. surprised the fuck out of me. So stuff like that too. Like, and once again, I think also because we saw it on that gigantic fucking 6-story screen, like it's just amazing. Like from the first shot, it's like just rainwater dropping down. It's like, holy shit, you know? Like just to like let people know, like IMAX 70 millimeter, I think is equivalent to if you had like a 16 or 32K TV. Like that's what it's equivalent to. It's insane. So yeah, I think the format itself kind of made it, but there's like, it's just the message too of just the horrors of what all this became and what it led to, and it has led to, the the ramifications. I think it's horrifying.
We're still dealing with it today.
Yeah. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Mikey? How did you feel? What did you think about the story? Like, what are your thoughts here?
I kind of echo what James just said. I mean, it was a fantastic movie. Acting across the board was pretty primo, and I don't know how they do it. There's not much like action in this movie. There's almost all dialogue, but somehow you're just like drawn into it. Like it grabs your attention, and it just works. It's just well thought out scenes, the flashbacks and stuff, how they kind of have the trial going on as well as like kind of telling a story at the same time. It all works for me. And I don't know if it's because we all kind of know about the atom bomb, right? We all kind of know the outcome of that, right? So you're kind of just learning and unraveling some stuff with the characters, and then they write it in a way where there's still like twists at the end. So if you don't know the whole story, like I kind of went in not knowing anything, there was still like a twist. There was still like things that you didn't expect. So it just made the movie, I mean, that much better, in my opinion. So yeah, I thought it was a fantastic film. Definitely the best movie this year so far. If not, I don't know of anything else that's going to come close to it.
Mikey kept asking me, when does he become Scarecrow throughout the movie? So I didn't know how to break it to him that this wasn't the same guy.
This is not Batman 4?
Oh, he's like, when the fuck does he become the Scarecrow? I was like,
isn't there a Megalodon happening here? Let's go. Where's the show?
Why the fuck is Iron Man in here?
Marco, what were your thoughts on the film? Did it enlighten you? Did you feel that euphoric?
It's really good, man. Nolan's a solid storyteller. I'm biased as fuck because he's one of my favorite directors. So I wouldn't expect anything less from him. I love all his movies, dude. So once again, another fucking home run. Like Mikey said, you're watching a trial take place, but he still finds a way to make it, interesting and keep you on the edge of your seat. So very well written.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. How did you feel about the way that the plot kind of jumped back and forth between the timelines, and they kind of did a different type, a roundabout storytelling of like his history and his life? Like, how did you feel? Did you feel that paid off well? That kept the pacing strong, or would you have preferred something more linear?
No, I like that. I think that it has scenes and reveals have that much more of an impact because you're seeing how each separate timeline connects to each other, and you're like, oh, you have the aha moment, like that's the connection. When certain characters are mentioned, during the trial, you see the sequence of events that happens. Even if it's out of order, like you're able to weave the threads together and figure out what happened. Like, oh damn, this dude double crossed him, or oh shit, like he's being investigated, because because he's a super leftist, whatever. I like that. I liked how it didn't just focus on just the development of the bomb, but the story behind it, the story of like the character of Oppenheimer and how he was done dirty just because of his political views, just because the guy believed in unions, shit like that. So a lot of shit that's happening today. So I felt that I made the story that much more interesting and that much more powerful. The different usage of color and black and white, I felt was pretty cool. The fact that they developed a special black and white film for IMAX because it hadn't been invented yet, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the topics that they went into more depth with, I really appreciated for that time of history. Like you were talking about the communist movement and the kind of the Red Scare that was going on. We see a lot of stories about how that impacted the film industry and like writers and stuff. But, there was other people, there was intellectuals, there was a lot of other people who just wanted to see a different kind of, they knew that the world was changing and they wanted to see something else come of it. And they were getting persecuted for just even having the notion of thinking about it. That's seeing a different aspect of Oppenheimer's life versus just the man who's affiliated with the atomic bomb, and really kind of understanding. I felt like I know a lot about his history with the A-bomb, but I felt I learned a lot more about him as a person in this film. And I mean, that's a credit obviously to Nolan and his research and his writing, but also just Cillian Murphy and the way that he made a man who's so complex, who's not necessarily a good man, but isn't also a bad man. He has his struggles in life, but it's a very fascinating story to see played on screen in that way. And he made me kind of like try to understand a little bit, at least, of what it was he was trying to accomplish and the severity of it, and how that it kind of stuck with him for the rest of his life.
So you liked the movie then, Nabil?
I did, yeah. I thought the story was really good, and it made me really think about a lot of. There's a lot of similarities to what was going on back then with the scope of the fact that there's a world war going on, and what they felt needed to be done, and to how the government always seems to have that kind of point of view in every war that they're in or situation, that they're always trying to find the ace that they can do. And even here, we're always in the present time, there's always something like that going on where it seems like it's going to be at the end of the world soon. But in that time, it really seemed like it might have been. There was a lot of just change there was a lot of change. We just didn't know what was going to happen. So I enjoyed the film. I loved how they kind of told the story. And for a 3-hour long film, it didn't feel 3 hours. It just kept going, and I was enthralled the whole time. And there's like, I think you had mentioned, Mikey, not a lot of action, so it's just dialogue for the most part. And I felt like that was still enough. I kept very much engaged with the whole story. Going back to you as well, Mikey, what was your thought of what you saw of Oppenheimer, especially like in the screen you guys were touching on, like the visual effects and how I guess James was mentioning like the clarity of what you were seeing there. Like, what did you think about that imagery that they were showing on screen? The shots that he was showing to kind of display his mindset and what Oppenheimer was envisioning throughout, and the little segments that they were throwing in to kind of really capture that. How did you feel that was being portrayed on screen? Like, how did that impact you at all? Did that work for you?
So that was one thing I actually didn't like, the whole like flashing lights and those kind of things that he was seeing. That was like my one like nitpicky thing that I didn't like that much here. I mean, I get what they were trying to do. I just think it was used a little too much, and it could have easily been, like flashing of like scenes or like pictures or something like that. And I think that would have been a little bit more impactful than just some flashing lights and those kind of like just kind of those kind of simple images that he saw. So I didn't like it that much here. Like I said, I kind of get what he was going for and kind of why he was doing it.
What about you, James? As we kind of always talk about, like how did you feel the cinematography was on this film? Like how Nolan crafted the shots for this movie? Was it on par with a lot of the other stuff? Do you feel like he kind of outdone himself? What were your just thoughts on the camera work?
It's beautiful, man. I think this is like Marco said, like his cinematography is always very consistent, even in movies where like it might not be the strongest film, like Tenet or something like that, but it's shot beautifully. I can't imagine them not winning the best cinematography for this either. Like this seems like a surefire win, and every time I say that, they don't fucking win. So I don't know. I hope so, but I mean, it's one of those things, like it's shot beautifully. Like the whole movie shot beautifully. So.
And talking about a little bit of the characters, Marco, how did you feel Cillian Murphy was playing as Oppenheimer? I know I've kind of given my take a little bit, but what was your perspective on just the portrayal of Oppenheimer in this film with Cillian Murphy?
He killed it. I like the scene where he's in prison and all of a sudden, the gas comes out and Falcone's oh shit, wrong movie. Sorry.
You mean the scene where he's the judge?
He's the
Dude,
fucking
he's in a
judge.
lot of fucking Nolan movies, isn't he?
He's
he is,
yeah. He's in like five or six. But this is the first one where he's actually the lead role.
The lead role.
Yeah. So he's in at least 6 of them, I think, according to IMDb. But he did great, dude. Cillian Murphy is a super talented actor. Obviously, the first movie I've seen him in was like 28 Days Later. So ever since then, just following his career, he just just becomes the character. You see him as only that character, and I've seen like images of Oppenheimer before, and he even down to that stare, because Cillian Murphy's got those fucking beady eyes, and he killed the look. There's a scene where he looks at the camera, and I think it's the image. If you Google like Oppenheimer, it's that image, and it's and I'm like, Jesus, too. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Cigarette in his mouth.
Yeah, I don't know how well he studied his mannerisms, but I'm pretty sure he did. But everything down to the way he moved, the way he sat, the way he smoked the cigarettes, the way his thought process happened. Stellar performance, dude. Stellar performance.
And Mikey, what were your thoughts on Robert Downey Jr.? I know James touched on it a little bit earlier on his portrayal of Louis Strauss. How did you feel his being a Marvel fan amongst a crowd over here? How did you feel this transition into kind of going back to the more character actor Robert Downey Jr.? Did you think that he's kind of broken that mold and has kind of come back, or do you think that he should have? We need to see more Iron Man.
No, I've always liked Robert Downey Jr. actually. Like my family always watches the movie The Judge. So, and I liked him in that movie.
Yeah.
So
random.
It's random. Yeah.
I don't know why my
Robert Duvall,
right? Yeah. Not sure why, but we watch it all the time in my family here. So
you're gonna be like kiss, kiss, bang, bang. I'm like, okay, yeah. Or Chaplin.
But anyways, yeah, he does a great job in this movie. The I don't quote unquote final scene he's in, I guess, where he's going on like the monologue about like what he did to Oppenheimer and he's like getting revenge and stuff like that. That scene is like crazy good in my opinion.
That's the Oscar scene, James.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's got to be that scene, right? So yeah, he does a really good job. And then even in the other scenes, like he's just got tidbits of other scenes that are smaller, but even in those scenes, he does an awesome job kind of going through and kind of just being, I don't want to say crazy at us, but it kind of comes off a little crazy at the end there. But he has kind of this really like weird, like intelligent look to him, but he's kind of like thinking the whole time. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how I feel
Always
like, and he does a great job. in
Something
that
going
part,
on back there, right? Yeah, he's trying to be 2 steps ahead.
You
He's
can
not.
tell he's thinking while he's kind of doing his thing. So
He's Tony Stark trying to take down Captain America. I get it.
It's kind of crazy how they reveal him like he's like a villain, basically. You know, like they at the beginning it seems like he's just talking about Oppenheimer's experience, and then you realize like near the third act of the film, I guess, is like, oh no, he's trying to fuck him over. You know?
Yeah.
I thought that was
and it's
great.
and we talked about it before, but it's really nice like how they put everything together in the timeline and how the trial works and everything like that, because it's like it's almost like the plot twist at the end, and then it like double plot twist because then they come back and screw him over a little bit, right?
Just
so
just
it's
because
like,
he embarrassed
it was
him.
well done at the end there.
Yeah, basically, or he thinks he embarrassed him. It's all ego shit, dude. And then he finds out and then Alden Ehrenreich. By the way, Alden Ehrenreich's in this fucking movie again. Me, Marco, and Nabil have taken a weird Alden Ehrenreich fucking dive in the last couple months. Like he's in every fucking movie we see, which is weird.
He's still young enough to be in it. We're gonna see him in more things.
He winked at the screen twice, bro, and I was like, me? I pointed at myself. I was like, does he know?
And he just pointed back.
He's like, saw my Coppola shit, huh? I'm Flamingo. And then he went off on a motorcycle.
Yeah, fucking black makeup all around his eyes and shit.
Yeah, it made sense to me though. I was like, I get it.
Leather jacket. He's really good too, James. I just want to throw out there Alden Ehrenreich. I hope he's in more films.
Me too. I was like,
Solo did him dirty.
Dude. Yeah,
I like Solo. He could have
like Solo too. So it's like,
oh yeah,
they're doing a Lando thing. Maybe he'll show up. Who knows? But
cameo.
I love how they like he's a different person behind the door. By the way, like Robert Downey Jr. when he's in the office, he's totally different. He's like talking like mad shit, basically, dude.
In public, it's different now.
And then when he's getting the trial done, he's like really soft spoken and shit. And then it just shows you how two-faced like politicians are. I love that, by the way. And it basically Robert Downey Jr. showed that he can act still in this movie, which was awesome.
I think that was great. There's a lot of characters in this film. I could run down a list of them all. I want to mention again, Josh Hartnett. He needs to be in more parts of the film. I don't know where he's been.
Strange. Did you watch Black Mirror, by the way? He was in one of the more recent episodes.
I did not see this season yet, no.
Oh, Mark.
Jesus Christ.
Mark, I was like, that episode reminded me of you. And I was like, it's not good. It's not a good one.
Dude, he does incredible too, man. I know he took a hiatus for a while, but goddamn. Missed him.
I don't think he took a hiatus. I think he just did in smaller parts.
He was in like a lot of direct-to-DVD movies.
Yeah, he was doing some TV. I think he was doing a TV show for a little bit too.
Was he?
We also had Casey Affleck playing a creep, and doing it well. It's very intimidating. One of the few people that was able to intimidate Oppenheimer. And
dude,
really,
when they show him, why did I get goosebumps? I was like, oh, fuck, scream the fuck out.
Right, dude, he was such a Kool-Aid drinking piece of shit. Yeah, and he played it well. I was like, God damn.
Yeah. Very straight. And
what other Nolan film was he in, by the way? This is not his first time working with Nolan.
Casey Affleck?
Yeah. Huh. He did something else with Christopher Nolan. I'm fucking certain, dude.
Was he in Interstellar? Was he his son?
Yes,
he's his son.
He's the son.
Yeah. There he is. There, yeah. He's worked with him before. That's why I was like, wait. When I saw it, I was almost at first like, oh, he's never worked with him. I was like, wait, no, he's the son that's like, I'm not gonna call you anymore. Son. Like he gave up on him. Or like he's like, you're not coming back. Yeah.
And Chalamet played him when he was young. See, look at that.
He did. Yeah.
Oh shit. You are correct.
Yeah.
Yep, there we go. Wow. That's where it's from. I was thinking, but I was like, where the fuck was it? By the way, Dane DeHaan, holy fuck, haven't seen him in a movie in a while.
Yeah, where's he been, huh?
After he lost the Harry Osborn role, they were like, he's like, hey, Spider-Man. So,
also playing a POS.
He still looks really young to me, though. I will say this much: like, I think he's actually older than me, but I know he's supposed to be playing like a colonel, like an older one. I'm like, that one, the age difference for me, I was like, this guy looks too young. So
you can say it. I think he's Marco's age.
I think he's Marco's age, actually. By the way, Benny Safdie, love that dude too. He's a director, obviously. He's part of the Safdie brothers. He did some really good movies. I love that he's still acting, which is cool because I think in Good Time he's great as the handicapped brother in that one too.
Yeah.
And David Dastmalchian is literally in every fucking Nolan movie, right? So
yeah, throwing him in, and I think that's fun. We have Kenneth Branagh always trying to do an accent in the film, so
it
he looks.
It worked for this one.
Works.
I thought he was going to have a bigger role, by the way.
Usually he does. I mean, he did in Dunkirk. So.
I'm like
Rami Malek. Rami Malek is just kind of in the film until the end.
Dude, I was actually talking to Mikey.
Weird eyes again.
I was talking to Mikey about Rami Malek, like when we watched the movie, I was like, "Did he say anything yet?" Like, a couple scenes, like, did he even say? Right? He's just holding a fucking pamphlet. He knocks it out. I'm like, that's kind of mean.
Yeah.
So,
and then he's at the end, and it was like, okay, I guess
he says his little piece, and then I was like, all right, that's where they.
He was a real one. He was a fucking real one.
Dude, he was like,
it.
nah, fuck this. He's like, nah, fuck this guy. I love that scene too. I was like, nice.
Yeah. Going to some of the bigger supporting characters before we go on to the lovely ladies of the film, we have Matt Damon as what is he?
Nabil.
General. He's General Groves.
I knew Marco didn't like the way you said his name, by the way.
I know. I wanted you to correct me,
enough
Marco.
emphasis. So
I wanted you to correct me. What did you think about him, Marco?
Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Oh, I said it in the movie theater as soon as I saw him. People chuckled. He did great. He actually he promised his wife he'd take a hiatus in films unless Christopher Nolan called him, and Chris Nolan called him, and so he had to break the hiatus on films to go do this one. I thought that was pretty cool because he wanted to be in a Nolan film, and it shows. He did good, man.
He was in Interstellar though too, man. So
he was.
Everyone forgets about that part. He's the asshole guy.
He was, but I mean, since then, like he wanted to take a break and stuff. Unless I guess that's why he wanted to be in another Nolan film. I would too, man. Truthfully,
seems like most people like to work with him, so it's kind of
yeah,
that's a good sign.
But he he was hilarious, man. He was straight talker,
very passionate.
And he played it well. What can I say about Matt Damon, man? Other than he did well, dude. I like him. So, yeah.
Mikey, what about your thoughts on? We have two, I guess, kind of lead actresses or supporting actresses. We've got Florence Pugh playing the we'll call her the temptation lady on the side there, Jean Tatlock, who loves to hate him, and then we have his wife, Catherine Kitty Oppenheimer. Played by Emily Blunt. How did you think the females were portrayed in this film as far as like Oppenheimer's, did you feel that they were there as support? Did you think they really gave them a chance to be their own characters? Like, how do you think that there was any a lot of value brought to having the two characters in here? What did you think about them?
Well, I mean, in terms of value, in terms of like supporting characters and everything, I really think Florence, her character really was more plot related, right? It's like he visits her and there's like outcomes that like the government doesn't like and that kind of stuff, and it kind of actually puts him in a bad tone and that kind of stuff. So she fits in that role here. And then I thought Emily Blunt, Kitty, she has that one scene in the trial that is like really good, where she's like stepping up her game as far as like she almost like fakes him out a little bit, right? And then comes up with some like great answers.
She walks circles around him.
Scene, and that really assists Oppenheimer in that moment, I guess. So like there's less of it in the whole movie, whereas Florence kind of does that throughout the whole movie a little bit more. But she has that really one moment that kind of like helps out him in his like trial.
Yeah. And I agree. I think that like especially Emily Blunt's character, I really liked that she was. I'm not sure exactly to what extent like Kitty Oppenheimer's persona was, but I liked that she was kind of playing against the norm. Like she was her own person. She was divorced. They had a kid together, and they could not raise a child, and it was all very honest about it. And then even at the end of when we were going through the trial stuff, like she's a fighter. She's like looking it up and her like, what the fuck are you rolling over for? You should be fighting. And he's like, this is not how I want to live my life. And like you said, the fake out at the end, like she played a very strong character. And I don't think a lot of people could have played it as well as Emily Blunt did. And every time I kind of saw her, I liked that little bit of where she wasn't playing as some kind of damsel in distress or something like that, or some kind of lady that's just there waiting for her husband. She was there, kind of right at it with Oppenheimer when brought into the fold.
She knows what's going on, right? Like she obviously like knows that he's going around, and I mean it assumes that
it's not a secret
he's sleeping
to her.
around a lot of times, and she's like okay, like really okay with it, but she knows it. And then she still sticks with him though, so
she gave him a pass.
A really like deep character, and like she has a lot going on, and it doesn't actually like come out and tell you all this stuff here. You can just kind of see it portrayed in some of the scenes that she has, even though they're really small, not that many around. So, because it wasn't just Florence that he was with, right? There's like another.
She was,
it's hinted that lady from the beginning, in which he's like, and he's so casual about talking about it. But he's like, her husband never found out. I was like,
Yeah, because he said he died of a broken heart, and he's like, no, he didn't. That's a lie.
I agree with Mikey though. Emily Blunt, she was a fucking G, man. I liked her character, and just like Mikey said, I like that she was her own person, and despite Oppenheimer's flaws and fucked up shit, she still backed him up. Didn't like what they were doing to him, because they'd known each other for so long. But yeah, Emily Blunt, damn, she does so well too. Glad she was in this movie. Lovely surprise because I didn't even know. And I agree about Florence Pugh. The affair in the movie, I think she actually knew who Oppenheimer was also, and she kind of like, in a way, even told him that she like understood him, especially like his more like political leanings as well too. She kind of shared the same views as he did, and the scene where he finds out that she fucking died, like I think is probably like a standout scene for me. Like just. It's a fucked up scene because I mean he's breaking down in front of his wife, but like Nolan just filmed it so well. It's such an uncomfortable and heartbreaking scene at the same time.
And it kind of hints that maybe she got killed too, right? Maybe
like, maybe. That's what I was gonna say. Do we know like that it was a suicide? What did you think about like that kind of visualization of it could have been maybe suicide? But she also had some communist views, and
I think it's his guilt, thinking that maybe he killed her in a way,
in some way,
that she's dead because of him.
James, any scenes in particular that really stood out for you that you felt like,
I mean,
was worth the IMAX 70mm?
The entire 3-hour runtime. Tell you the truth, the scene where people are stomping their feet and shit.
After the bomb.
Why did I think that was a train leading up, like for the last year?
Yeah.
I was like, is that a train? Oh no, it's just a slow building of people slamming their feet at their little weird fucking thing. I think that, and then he's like, he can't hear, and I think that scene really stands out. It shows you the horrors of him realizing what happened and what it means really. That the Einstein scene's great at the end. I love that scene too, where he just tells him really what's up, and there's a lot. There's like I'm not lying. There's many scenes that stand out to me in this movie. So it's that one, I think, and obviously the explosion, that was fucking awesome. That was cool how they're all prepping, and my man Benny Safdie's just throwing on that fucking salve all over his fucking face, looking like a psychopath.
Taking care of himself.
There's a lot of fucking people in this movie, dude. Even the president, they're fucking, what's his face?
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman. He plays fucking Foghorn Leghorn. I mean, fucking
Foghorn Leghorn.
Someone get
He's
that
so
sissy out of my mouth.
He's so fucked up. He says,
Cry,
"Don't ever let that sissy back in here," which apparently was a real quote.
Is that what he said?
That's
crazy.
Apparently it was a real quote. Don't ever let that sissy back in here again. I was like, no, like crybaby. I was
Crybaby, yeah.
hey, dude, that's fucked up, dude.
I was like, yikes. And he's like,
I mean,
I say.
Gary Oldman does a good job of playing an asshole, though. Like it kind of reminded me of Zorg.
I hear he's kind of an asshole sometimes, but yeah.
We've reviewed Bram Stoker's Dracula. We understand.
That scene, I feel like,
fucking relax.
He's
the same guy.
He's a
same guy.
Oh,
Him and Winona Ryder are friends now. Okay, fucking chill.
Oh shit.
I think that scene where Oppenheimer's like having the conversation with him and trying to express, his dread and concern. Yeah, the blood on his hand. Like, let's be real. From Truman's position, it is he's the one who's being remembered for dropping the bomb. Like Truman or Oppenheimer, regardless of what they did to build that bomb, like whatever happened, it wasn't his call.
Right,
It was going to be the president's. He did it. If anybody's got blood on his hands, it's him. It's war. That's how he's looking at it. So yeah, he's kind of going on like, get out of, what the fuck are you talking about?
But
Like,
he was more talking about just actually like the regret of actually making it. Because I guess
I agree.
In his mind, he would think that they would just point the gun, not actually fire it.
Yeah. But that's naive, right?
And
you're
that's
going
just,
there to build a bomb, like they're going to use a weapon.
But that shows how naive he was about that part. Is like, dude, if you make the bomb, they're gonna use it. It's not like they're not gonna use it.
It's wild, like when they're picking out the shots place. By the way, James Remar fucking is in this movie too, randomly. By the way, if everybody forgot about that shit, I was like, is that fucking Raiden from the Mortal Kombat? So and he's like literally doesn't pick a site because he's like, yeah, we had our honeymoon there, and I was like, Jesus Christ,
it's a beautiful place. Saved like fucking 100,000 people. Marco, was there anything that you would have wanted to see more of in this film, or do you feel like 3 hours is enough?
Truthfully, even though it was 3 hours, it didn't feel like a 3 hour movie to me. I think the pacing was really well. The story keeps you interested. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. You want to see how the things unfold. If there's anything I wanted to see more of, really not so much. I mean, I guess they could have gone, more into like the aftermath of everything. But I mean, it gets really depressing after that. I mean, as if some of the sad shit wasn't, bad enough already. But
that's almost an understatement. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe on a more extended shot of the explosion. That's about it. I thought it was great, but I mean, I wanted that to linger even just a little bit more. Just because it was a big like moment, when they first like detonate a nuclear device. So, but I guess when you're using practical effects, that's all you can get. So,
which is awesome though.
They did great for what we saw. Yeah, a lot of camera tricks.
Absolutely,
yeah, definitely
movie magic. All right, so let's talk about our star ratings of this film. I'll start with you, Mikey. What did you rate this film out of 5 stars?
5 stars. It's like I said it before in the very beginning. It's the best movie this year. Fantastic acting all the way around. Powerful scenes. Kept me drawn in the whole movie, even though it's 3 hours long. I don't see too much wrong with this movie. It's really good. Definitely must watch, in my opinion.
How about you, James? What did you rate this film?
I give this one 5 out of 5 as well. I think this is one of the best movies of the year. One of Christopher Nolan's best. And like I said, it's one of those movies that even after the movie is done, I think we just sat there for a little bit like, fuck, man, this is a pretty heavy film. So I do actually want to see it again. So I do want to either take my dad to see it or somehow watch. Because I know Nolan, if you're thinking about trying to wait for VOD, he spreads his movies out pretty far, guys. So I don't think this is coming out till like close to the end of the year. So while it's in theaters, I think you should probably make the trip to go see it. So,
and Marco, how many stars from you?
5 stars also. I agree with James. Go see this in theaters. Go see it on the biggest screen you can, of course. If you can, then go do so. But even if you can't,
I'm staying right at Nabil. I love it, Mark.
Yeah. then if not, just go see it in theaters, man. Don't wait for VOD. It's a disservice to yourself and to the men of work. Also, I didn't get to give my Barbie rating because my computer cracked out. So I give that one also 5 stars.
And I also gave this a 5 star. So I think this is the first time all of us, now with Mikey as well, gave one film just all 5 stars. Now, this film, like James kind of said at the top, was being touted on social media as like the double feature event of our lifetime. So,
funny.
So we had 2 films. Obviously, we reviewed Barbie and Oppenheimer, aka Barbenheimer. Let me ask you guys. Let's go with our new guy, Mikey here. Since you've actually seen both of the films, obviously, what do you think was the best order? Do you think it was Barbie first and Oppenheimer, or were you looking at it the other way?
I would see Oppenheimer first, and that's just because it's kind of heavy. I think the Barbie would kind of lift the feeling up a little bit. So I'd probably do that Oppenheimer, then Barbie.
Yeah. Did you do a double feature, or did you guys spread this out?
No, me and James went on, I think it was a Thursday for the 70mm version, and then I saw Barbie on that Saturday, I believe it was. So,
and if you had to choose between just one of the films,
Just
Which would you
one?
recommend?
It would be
Yeah.
Oppenheimer. It's like I said, it's the best movie this year. I can't not pick it. So
Yeah. How about you, James? It sounds like you probably didn't do a double feature. Obviously, you saw Barbie twice, but did you see them back
I
to back?
saw Oppenheimer Thursday night, Barbie Friday night, and then also Barbie Sunday night, a week and a half later, I guess, technically.
Yeah.
So,
do you like that viewing order, or would you want to watch Barbie?
No,
first?
don't fucking watch Barbie twice because of fucking theater. No, I actually think you should see Barbie first and then Oppenheimer, maybe. Because I always think you should dwell on the heavier shit afterwards. Maybe
give yourself a chance to sit with it.
Maybe because it's kind of weird. I thought it was kind of weird, at least for our viewing of it. We saw Oppenheimer, then it ends so fucking horrifically. Then you just walk out of the theater shell shocked, and then like the next day, I'm like, now I'm here to see Barbie, right? It's like fuck, dude. So I don't know. Either way really works, but I don't know. It's called Barbenheimer, so I looked at it as like maybe Barbie goes first, Oppenheimer goes second. But once again, I watched it the other way, so obviously it still worked for me because I still like both movies quite a bit. So,
and if you could recommend just one, if you had no choice but to watch one or the other,
it'd be Oppenheimer, hands down. I think, especially just from a film person's perspective of how this movie was made, this is incredible. This does not happen a lot, and just like Marco said, I feel like Christopher Nolan is one of the last auteurs of using film like in this way. So I think this is something very special. So,
how about you, Marco? How did you see this? Did you see them back to back, or did you give it some space?
Gave it space, not on purpose, but because both films are selling out in theaters. So, I saw Oppenheimer on a Thursday, and then Barbie on a Saturday, and I went with my brother and niece on Thursday, and then Saturday it was me, my mom, my brother, my niece, took my son, and we all dressed up. So it was awesome.
Oh, cool.
I think that it's interchangeable too. I think the order you don't have to see it Oppenheimer first and Barbie last. Even though Barbie is a little more high spirited, there's still some existentialism in it. So I think like both movies you can kind of dwell on. So pick your poison. See when you feel like watching a 3-hour movie and when you feel like watching a 2-hour one. So either way is fine. I think whichever you watch first.
And if you could only recommend just one,
I'll be odd man out and say Barbie. I love Christopher Nolan. I would actually say both. But go check out Barbie just because I know it's receiving a lot of hate. So check it out. Go outside your comfort zone. You know,
it doesn't deserve hate either. Honestly,
no. Yeah, check it.
Internet hate. It's doing
exactly.
well in the box office.
It's got a great cast too. Great director.
Yeah, it's killing both movies are killing in box office. So regardless, people have seen both. So it's not like these.
Yeah, exactly.
If anything, you should go see Haunted Mansion because it's struggle.
Yeah, I mean, I saw them back to back. I watched Oppenheimer first, and then Barbie the same day. We did the double feature thing.
Nice.
Spent the Sunday. Decided why not? It was hot out here. 126 heat index, humidity. They don't want to fucking be inside or outside.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
So we had a good time with that. But I will say the order we did was Oppenheimer and then Barbie, and I agree with what you said, James. I would want probably Oppenheimer afterwards because I want that time to sit with it. Because we kind of finished the film, we're like, I really don't want to see Barbie now.
Especially if you go back to back. I can only imagine that's got to be weird, dude.
So we definitely wanted to have some time to really sit with that film. Barbie was fine. I mean, I think that it just would have been better to see it first because of that, just so we had that time to. I don't think you had to sit that much with it. It was more like realizing what the state of the world is now from Barbie perspective, and then Oppenheimer saying like, what the hell?
I mean, it goes immediately into a Nicki Minaj Ice Spice song right after. So I mean, that's like, okay, I'll just dance.
Yeah.
The world is not okay. Let's dance.
Yeah, when that was playing, I was like, okay, I guess it's okay. Yeah. Oppenheimer, though, I'm just sitting there, just like shell shocked, like
Nolan makes you stare at the screen.
Dude, Nolan makes me feel like I was like, am I a piece of shit? Right? Like
for the whole ending credits, nothing's gonna happen.
We almost fucking did. Me and Mikey almost. Also, because that theater is so fucking small. Like, not like the seats are tiny as fuck in there. I was like, I'm just gonna wait till we walk by.
Yeah. And I would recommend Oppenheimer as the film if you're gonna watch only one, just for that same reason. Like, it's just a technical masterpiece. And definitely probably one of the best films of the decade, definitely for the year. So,
Shit,
sounds very good.
Once again, thank you everybody for listening to the podcast. Thank you, Mikey, joining us here, becoming our 4th member after. I think we've been doing it for 6 years, actually.
Yeah, that's
Look at that.
So we took this expansion pack, right? So in a way. So Marco, let them know how they can reach us.
Listen and follow us on your favorite podcast service. Trust us, we're on all of them. For a quick link to all our socials, visit linktree/moviepalspod. Thank you. Make sure to smash that subscribe button so you never miss an episode or another expansion pack.
And make sure to also stay tuned for our next episode number 156, where we will be revealing our new segment in more detail, as well as reviewing the last voyage of the Dementor.
Thank you to Bill. Until next time, this is James.
And Marco.
And to Bill.
And Mikey.
Have a great one.